This essay example, as well as thousands of others, is available in text format on our website for free and without registration. Simply Google Ivy Panda Free Essays.
Traditional Culture and Modernization. Introduction. This is an argumentative essay based on culture and modernization. The Industrial Revolution was perceived as a turning point in the history of the world, since it was a transformational era that paved the way to current modernization. Modernization is said to have brought many impacts on humans, and in that case, people across the world perceived it with mixed reactions. While there are those who see the trend as the best thing which has ever happened to humans, others view it as a curse, following the vast nightmares associated with it. One of the major negative impacts of modernization is change in our traditional beliefs and norms. The value of culture in society is rapidly fading away as people continue to adjust to the patterns of modernization. Many people across the world are not practicing their culture, owing to modernization. This, however, has raised much criticism from some people who tend to think that modernization should not be taken as a trade-off for our traditional cultures. In support of this view, this paper emphasizes that preserving traditional culture is the best path to follow. Discussion. Culture simply refers to the way of life followed by a particular community and which is passed from one generation to another. Modernization, on the other hand, is the process of adopting new trends of life in order to comply with the current demands of life. As we all know, people are born and brought up in cultural environments, and in that case, culture can be termed as the unique possession of every human being on Earth. Apart from being the shared behaviors or attitudes that we possess as humans, culture is also that complex whole comprising the general characteristics of life that we acquire as members of society. Based on these observations, it is clear that culture has great importance on humans, and therefore, nothing should be allowed to interfere with it. Even though it is true that globalization and modernization are key catalysts of development, developing countries should try to limit the levels by which they embrace these two trends as a way of encouraging and facilitating advancements. Instead of welcoming more technological ideas and aspects, they should try to utilize technological resources appropriately and focus more on building their own traditions. Simply put, advanced modernization and technology pose serious threats to our way of life in a number of ways. For example, people, and especially the younger ones, are rarely interactive with their cultural norms due to the nature of the environments they live in. This, however, exposes them to a greater risk of forgetting their own cultural identities. It is patently clear that many people have accorded much concern to the patterns of other cultures, particularly foreign ones, something which has constantly put them in contrary lines with their own cultures. As we all know, different cultures have different dressing codes and eating habits, and in that case, imitating other cultures' patterns as far as these aspects are concerned is likely to violate the moral and religious concerns of one's own culture. As it would be observed, culture distinguishes one group of people from the other in various ways. This cultural diversity is very important since it creates new needs for different people, thus bringing a positive impact on the tourism sector. Despite the overwhelming pressures of modernization, some communities have vigorously maintained their traditions and cultural structures, thus attracting a lot of interest from other communities who constantly pay them a visit to explore their unique cultural identities. In this way, the new needs created by cultures are certain to generate a lot of revenue to local tourism sectors and the communities involved. More importantly, cultural diversity covers the entire range of human experiences, and in that case, it gives interpretation to certain situations of life as they apply to people in society. This also provides an opportunity for better understanding of other cultures through social interaction, thus helping to improve social relationships among people of different cultures. Through preservation of culture, we tend to maintain our traditional beliefs, family norms and values, and sociological standards, among other important aspects. Conclusion. In conclusion, modernization is a universal trend that cannot be avoided, but as we continue to embrace it, we should try to protect those beliefs and norms that reflect our cultural identities. As reflected in this paper, culture is a very unique possession that serves a significant role in humans, and for that reason, we should be proud of it and grant it the recognition it deserves. Based on these observations, our traditional cultures help in keeping our family backgrounds intact, and in that case, they are the best path to follow. This essay on traditional culture and modernization was written and submitted by your fellow student. You are free to use it for research and reference purposes in order to write your own paper. However, you must cite it accordingly.